No fun will be had. At least the next hour. Maybe 2 if we can make this a good one. What do you think, Jill?
I'm going for under.
It's a little light.
All right.
All right, everybody ready?
Let's do it.
All right, thank you. So we are going to be opening up the special meeting of the New Canaan Board of Education. This is rescheduled from the 8th to today, so thank you for everybody making it. And Monday, April 1st, 7 p.m. We'll first stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, next up, we're going to review and approve the agenda for April 1st, 2024. Can I get a motion, please? Erica, second Brendan, all in favor? Unanimous. Next, we're going to approve the minutes from our March 18th, 2024 meeting. Can I get a motion, please? Julie, second. Matt Wexler, all in favor? Also unanimous, great. And comments from the public. To ensure the public's right to be heard, the board set aside time during the meeting for public comments. 2 minutes to be allotted each speaker with a maximum of 15 minutes for each subject. Would anybody like to approach the board? Seeing as there are none, move on to reports and recognition. We'll start with Matt Salvestrini with computer science.
So I would like to introduce Matt Salvestrini, who's our Director of Digital Learning, as well as Jim Zambarano and Rachel DeGioia. So Jim Zambarano is our department chair for career technology and education, and Rachel is one of our STEM teachers here at the high school. And tonight we'll be doing a crosswalk on the new computer science standards, K-12. So they'll be giving us an update where we are in that process. Rachel, you may all know Rachel's room, but you probably haven't met Rachel. So Rachel is the Steelers fan, the room that you often will meet in. Ah, the nods.
That's how everyone knows me.
Great. Just wait for the projector to fire up. I know some of you don't know me, I just want to express the amount of self-control I had to exhibit not to put a fake first slide up here talking about math standards or something like that. It's April Fool's, so. But my colleagues told me it was a bad idea, so you're welcome. Thank them. But thank you very much, Dr. Crenti, for this opportunity to give you all an overview about the computer science standards and the process we've gone through to do a crosswalk of our current instruction in computer science and the standards. I'd like to start with a quick overview of what we'll walk you through tonight. We're going to begin with an overview of the Connecticut computer science standards, what they are, how they fit into technology instruction for our students in this district. And next, we'll go into a little bit more detail to provide you with some insights on how computer science is currently being taught to our students at each of the 3 levels, elementary, middle, and high. Then we're going to proceed to a crosswalk of where our instructional standards, how they stand in comparison to these standards, and reflect on our strengths and growth points. It's always helpful to begin and ground our work, and what grounds our work and drives it, our district goals. For this conversation, we're looking at district goal number 5, that states all students will graduate with the technological knowledge and skills to succeed in a dynamic and complex global society. In more detail, this year, our objective was to take a close look at where and how we're teaching computer science across all grade levels, and to complete a crosswalk between the Connecticut K-12 computer science standards and our existing curriculum. And as I said before, look for our strengths, identify our growth areas, and possible needs. As we begin this conversation, I thought it would be helpful for us to define what computer science is, since technology terms seem to be thrown around very carelessly in every conversation. This definition is taken from the standards, the Connecticut Computer Science Standards Overview document, and breaks down to computer science into 4 key areas. Algorithmic processes. Those are the step-by-step instructions or rules that computers follow to solve problems and complete tasks. Principles. Those basic ideas and concepts that underpin how computers and software operate. Hardware and software designs. The hardware is that stuff, the physical part of the computer, keyboards, screens, mice, etc. And software is a collection of programs and operating systems that tell the hardware exactly what to do. And also, computer science includes a conversation about its impact on society. It's about understanding how computers and technology affect our daily lives, our work, our communication, and society as a whole. In simple terms, computer science is the study of how computers work, how to make them do what we want them to do through programs and designs, at least for now, until AI takes over the world, and understanding how all of this technology changes the way we live. This last part seems especially pertinent in a world where society is grappling with the impact and implications of technology in a wide range of areas, from cell phone use to social media, from screen time to generative AI. It may be also to take another step into this clarification about technology instruction and differentiate between computer science instruction and education technology instruction. Computer science builds on the set of skills taught by educational technology. Educational technology is computer literacy, digital citizenship, and information technology. Educational technology is about learning how to use technology, teaching students how to be productive with it, how to collaborate, communicate, design, and learn, where computer science is about how to create technology. I'd like you to keep in mind that we teach students both sets of skills and understandings, of course, more explicitly in our primary years, then gradually in a more integrated approach middle through high school. What lies at the center as an essential skill is that of a computational thinker. In 2018, the Department of Education provided a framework for all school districts on computer science instruction. This framework, built off of national CSTA standards, articulates 5 core concepts or strands related to computer science, and you can see them up here. If you looked at that graphic moving from left to right, it moves from the more concrete to the more abstract. Where we begin with the physical reality of computer science, those computing systems that I talk about, moving to the more abstract of impacts of computing on society. These core concepts can be further broken down into 16 sub-concepts, seen here. At each level, at elementary, middle, and high, these concepts are organized into bands with the goal that they will build on each other through high school with the result of a well-rounded student that has a deep understanding of computer science. Along with the standards, the Department of Education provided some examples of how districts might arrange for computer science to be taught to students at different levels. Described as computer science pathways, they outline structures that range from providing basic exposure to computer science, and you can see that in the right-hand column, to a more broad and deep exposure outlined on the left. As a part of our process, we reflected on how computer science is currently taught to our students, and we circled where we feel that computer science exists and is taught in New Canaan. At the elementary level, computer science is taught through the direct instruction and a drop-off special led by technology integrators. In the middle school, beginning grade 5 and 6, all students take part in computer science instruction with their science teachers. And in 7th and 8th, students are given more choice to select their pathway. In high school, The high school offers a wide range of elective courses to students at all levels. Now, let's take a little bit deeper dive into what that instruction looks like at these different levels. As I said before, computer science is taught through direct instruction to our students. You see that little icon there with the teacher that's in front of the students. I hope you start to see how these themes that are outlined, these 4 themes that are outlined at the elementary level, connect very closely with the concepts or standards that I just showed you in previous slides. So the themes that we have at the elementary level is how computers work, digital citizenship, learning to code, and I've listed just a few of the digital and hardware resources that we use, and coding for a purpose. Just to narrate a few of the slides to the right, you'll see students are actually taking apart computers to get a sense of how they work, identifying things like CPU, etc. We have students using block code on Scratch Junior. And we also have students actually kindergartners doing some programming with those colored tiles at the top. So to start with how computers work, it connects directly with computing systems. Students, as I said in my quick narration, work hands-on to identify and describe how internal and external parts of computer devices function and form a system. With our digital citizenship instruction, we're connecting directly to networks and internet standard. We emphasize passwords and security of personal information, why we use them, and how to use different types of passwords to protect our devices and information from unauthorized access. We spend a lot of time in the area of data and analysis, much in the form of teaching students how to use technology like store and copy and search, retrieve for information, collecting information and presenting that same data in a variety of different formats, and organizing and presenting collected data visually. In the area of learning to code and coding with a purpose, really connects with the algorithms and programming standard. Students begin by creating programs that use variables to store and modify data. They create programs that include sequences, events, loops, and conditional formatting. They decompose or break down problems into smaller, manageable subproblems to develop a programming process. And they also use an interactive process to plan and develop a program that includes other people's perspectives and considering their preferences. For one example, our 4th grade students work very closely with our science teachers and use a tool called CoSpaces to create a virtual reality experience integrated with science where the students create code to show a predator-prey relationship between 2 different animals that they learned in science class. So this next video is that of a kindergartner. So I'll play it for you here. This student is programming. It doesn't look like some of the programming that you may think of when you think of Python or C++ or whatever it is you may be familiar with or may not be familiar with. This child is using an indie robot and using colored tiles to make it execute a specific set of steps. This tool is designed to help teach students the fundamentals of computational thinking without getting bogged down with code per se. It's fun and it's exciting and kids love it, as well as the teachers. Students learn how to build custom mazes, solve problems, and what a set of colored tiles they need to put out for it to complete an identified task. Moving on to middle school, as I said before, computer science is taught both through direct instruction in grades 5 through 6 and through student-selected activities as a part of their workshop block in 7th and 8th grade. In grade 5, computer science is taught to all students by their science teachers. Working off of our Project Lead the Way platform, students expand their understanding of robotics and explore mechanical design and computer programming. They focus on developing the skills needed to build and program autonomous robots that solve a pre-identified task. And if you look at this set of pictures, the upper one, left-hand one, is a picture of a student doing just that. They work in a group to apply their knowledge to design, build, test, and refine a mobile robot that meets a set of design constraints. In grade 6, the instructional format is the same as grade 5, and we currently offer 3 different formats of these courses with the composites of programming, problem solving, and designing remain the same. So while the flavor of the courses are slightly different, the key concepts in grade 6 are the same. Students work in teams to solve real-world problems that they see around them. Just a few weeks ago, I walked by a 6th grade teacher that had students creating robots. They were in the hallway, and as the student held a robot up to a locker, the robot had an adapter which the child put onto the tumbler, and the robot opened the locker for the student on its own. So in grade 6, the students identified a problem in their world and built a robot to solve it. Our main approach here incorporates the design thinking process, which may be familiar to some of you, and it's a problem-solving framework that encourages creative and innovative solutions to real-world challenges. In grades 7 and 8, students have the option to take computer science class as part of one of their 4-quarter rotations in the workshop block. In grades, students learn a lot about the apps that they use so much on their phones. Using the MIT App Inventor, students actually design apps that are used by their peers. I've seen students create trivia games, dexterity tests, and tic-tac-toe games that they test on their peers and then actually publish in a sandbox environment. In grade 8, students explore robotics even further and automation as well. In this case, they take on the role of interns and work in teams to create a prototype to meet the needs of specific clients. They build and analyze mechanical systems and automate them with programmed input and output devices. In this case, they're using much more sophisticated programming and coding in a range of computer languages, moving from block code to using computer programming languages like Python and C++. In addition to the classes, SACS teachers have worked hard to provide students with a wide range of choice experiences related to computer science before, during, and after the school day. For the past several years, we've been providing students with the opportunity to sign up and go to the design or fabrication labs during lunch periods to engage in a range of STEM and computer science choice activities. Catchingly entitled Empower Your Lunch Hour, students have done everything from designing and 3D printing a new base for a skeleton model that was in their science class, to designing and building a passion project like a 3D Halloween skull built with our 3D printer, programmed with an Arduino that lights up and plays music when somebody walks by. Before and after school clubs are also popular as well. We have Lego Robotics, Minecraft Club for students in grades 7 and 8, Audio Production Club, and esports. And now I'll pass it off to Rachel to talk a little bit about the high school.
So once students get to the high school, they have many choices for electives they can choose to take, from many different departments. So if they want to continue on with computer science at the high school level, it's an elective choice. They don't have to. There are required CTE credits, but they don't necessarily need to take a computer science course. So as a 9th grader, there are many options a student can take that are in the realm of computer science. Most students who are really into programming will take the Intro to Computer Science course where we teach Python. But if they don't get into that course or want to go a different route, they'll take the Engineering and Design course, which is a full-year course. Web design, game design, 3D animation, all of these courses up here have some kind of programming element to them. So that's freshman year. By By sophomore year, they can take any of the courses that I listed before, and then most of them end up taking AP Computer Science Principles, which, looking at the standards that Matt showed earlier, it hits every single standard for the pathway. And that's the reason that College Board made that course. I actually helped write the mobile CSP curriculum using App Inventor for College Board. And I used to teach that for principals, but the younger grades were doing such a good job passing kids up that I actually had to progress that course to now I teach it in Python. So that just shows the progression of where computer science has come, and I've been in the district for 8 years now. So by sophomore year, they'll take principles, and then by junior year, the kids who are really into computer science will usually take the AP Computer Science A course, which is one of the tougher AP courses that College Board offers, and it is strictly knowledge of Java programming language. So there really isn't talk about really impact of computing or things like that in that course. It's strictly just your knowledge. It's more of a language exam, like a Spanish or a Latin exam. And then by 12th grade, they can take any of the previous courses, or many students who are really interested in programming especially will take an independent study with me, and I'll talk about some of the independent studies that kids have pursued. And what my students who want to study programming in college end up doing is they become a teaching assistant for me. So they will be a TA in my AP Computer Science A course, help students with any debugging they need help with, because kids will get themselves into a hole, and then I spend 20 minutes with one student, and then there's 20 more kids that have questions. So my TAs really help with that, and they'll do that as independent study credit or just in their free period because they like it so much. So I actually had Paul Gallo run us some numbers for how many kids actually are enrolled in what we would call just a strict programming class. And actually, from the senior class, the graduating class this year, about 31% of them have taken one of those computer science courses listed up there, which again are strictly just programming courses. And from the junior class currently, 28.5% have taken a programming course so far, with many of them will take it senior year who haven't taken it yet. So 1 in 3 students is pursuing computer science at the high school level, and I think a lot of that is because of what they're getting access to at the lower levels. So this is you, Ray.
Thank you, Rachel. So completing our crosswork of our current computer science programming with the Connecticut standards provided us with some useful insights. Represented here on this chart, the green reflects areas of strength, red areas of needed growth, and yellow areas of specific subtopics that need to be further addressed. Across the board, we felt like there is an area we really need to look at networks and the internet, K-12. This standard really focuses on cybersecurity, as well as network and communication and organization. As you heard, much of our instruction focuses on the programming, data use, also different systems that you would use. This is an area that we saw as an area of growth. In the elementary level, for example, we don't talk much about how information is broken down into smaller pieces and transmitted in packets across devices and networks. That's a topic which we need to do a little bit more work on. Also at the elementary level, when we look at impacts of computing, it's green, but we felt like we could look more at the topic of discussing computing technologies, how they've changed the world, how it influences us, and influences our cultural practices. Looking at the middle school, further conversation about and instruction about using different methods to encrypt and how to transmit information securely is definitely a topic that we need to dig further on into. If you look at data analysis, for example, we do a good job on that in grade 6, but we wanted to have conversations about what that looks like in the learning progression 5 through 8, taking into consideration what is currently being taught in 6th grade. And then if we look at impacts of computing in the middle school, this we really need to look at these topics. For example, comparing the trade-offs associated with computing technologies that affect people every day and career options. What are the trade-offs, for example, of allowing information to be public and versus keeping that information private and secure? And at the high school, further conversation about how we can address cybersecurity. Currently, it's taught as a unit in AP Computer Science Principles, but only at the surface level. So taking all of this into consideration, these are what we see as the K-8 strengths. We're very fortunate to have dedicated instructional time for computer science in grade K through 6. It provides us with a strong foundation of computer science skills and understandings for our students as they move through the grades. We have a strong alignment to the identified computer science standards. Not every district is as closely aligned as we see ourselves here. There are lots of opportunities for student choice, both in the direct instruction, K-6, and also in their ability to choose pathways or courses to take, both in the middle and the high school. We offer high-interest experiences and real-world connections. And we have lots of opportunities and interested staff in extending and connecting with other curricular areas.
And in looking at the high school's strengths, we are one of the few schools that actually offer somewhat of a computer science pathway. Many schools will offer 1 or 2 courses, but we have a pretty clear set of courses kids can take to graduate with, if we wanted to add it, like computer science distinction. I started that pathway in Milford Public Schools, and then that's the main reason I wanted to come here and take the job that I took in 2016, was to help get that started here. And since then, we've added 3 new courses. So this would be the pathway kids would take if they were really interested in computer science. Another strength is our independent studies. Our kids are really good with computers. It's why I went back to school to get another degree, because I just couldn't keep up with some of them. But many of them take independent studies in machine learning. Because many are interested in finance technology. That's huge right now, working with Ruby, and that's something I don't know, so I've had a few do that. Data science is a huge and growing field because data is being collected about literally everything we do every day, and they need people to mine that data. So I've had students do that. And then I've had students take courses from Carnegie Mellon or other courses online where they were able to earn college credit. We also were an honorable mention award winner by College Board for female diversity in computer science, meaning we were very close to a 50% or higher female examinee representation, which is the main reason I got into teaching. I left the field because I was the only girl on a team of 25 men. So that's one reason I became a teacher. So that makes me really proud of what I do. We also have a huge plethora of school clubs and organizations. Jim runs about 100 of them. But these are just a few of them that we have that deal with computer science. Kids have opportunities to do all sorts of things. I know the computer club, they go and tutor kids down at the middle school and teach them stuff about computer science, and then those kids normally take my courses when they get to the high school, which is great, a great feeder.
Bless you. So just to wrap it up and talk about what we see as our next steps. In grades K-4, really looking at developing curriculum in the areas we identified in our crosswalk. In grades 5 through 8, investigating programming options for students, providing them more choice and voice in how the types of courses that they want to take. Of course, continuing to develop curriculum similar to the elementary level, and looking for more and more opportunities to integrate this understanding and learning with the design lab at the middle school. In grades 9 through 12, gathering further feedback for potential new courses, as Rachel just mentioned. And similar to the middle school, looking for opportunities for ongoing integration with the workshop that we've continued to renovate and build up down on the library. So with that, we'll conclude our presentation. Happy to take any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much. Questions? Brendan.
Thanks for the presentation. It was great. So you mentioned AI earlier on in the presentation, and I know it's something that we all interact with in some way, regularly. It's obviously, emerging quickly. So anything that we're doing there or exploring for the future in terms of, how we, teach kids to interact with AI or, manage it in some way?
Sure. I feel like our district is really well positioned when it comes to where we are with AI, considering it's such an evolving landscape. We brought together a team of interested teachers and administrators. We've met 3 or 4 times since December, fooling around and figuring it out. We've had Matt Mervis, who's a very well-known presenter in the area of artificial intelligence in the state of Connecticut and beyond, come and facilitate the conversations, raising awareness. What can AI do for us? And then helping teachers start to have conversations about, so if this is what the tool can do now, for example, what are some of the literacies we need to start to build within our students, within our teachers, within our administrators? This was really a group to start to build awareness and start to consider, so what would we want the district to be thinking about as we start to put together a long-term plan for artificial intelligence in the district. So we just finished about 2 weeks ago, our last meeting. They've come up with a list of what those literacies might look like, as well as what they would put forward as some recommendations and considerations that we would like that Dr. Carenti and Dr. Letzi and I will look at actually this week, talk about and consider what are the next steps. Obviously we want to be able to put up some guidelines and guardrails for teachers and students to make sure that we're using the technology in a safe way. But we're certainly thinking about where this is, where's the future of this as a part of our education, okay? And the first part of that is helping teachers start to see what it can do for them and consider, so what might this mean for me? And then what might it mean for my students? Okay.
Thanks. Any other questions? Campbell.
So, thank you again. A couple questions. So, I get that we're aiming for sort of broad and deep exposure to computer science, but as I think about our current offering, it seems like for the most important and relevant things for our day, at least from an employment perspective, I see a lot of jobs that 10 or 15 years ago didn't require coding or programming languages. Right now do. I think of trading as one of the prime examples. Our students only get involved or only exposed to these languages if they self-select, which seems, I think, given where we're going or where we are today, I think that's it's a little antiquated. I mean, I think right now we need to fully acknowledge that everyone needs at least some exposure to these languages. And so I guess as you see the landscape, right, and the way it's currently set up in the school system, where do you see, if we were to make that more of a requirement instead of an elective, right, where would that best be introduced? Would it be better introduced at the high school level as sort of almost a mandatory elective? Would it be requiring more direct programming experience and language during the dedicated lab time in middle school? When should we introduce that to a broader group of students, not only those that self-select? And do we have the capacity to do that?
Well, I think we're doing a good job laying the foundation for those. There's a progression of teaching students about how to program, right? Going from using colored tiles with kindergarten through block coding through the middle school, and then teaching them actual computer programming languages. I think part of what our recommendations in our next step is, where can we look for greater opportunity for students to take part in this instruction, right? Whether that be through choice in the middle school and the high school, I think that's where we're looking to leverage it right now, right?
Do you know of any other school districts, I mean, just given where the world is today, that requires at least, I don't know how many credits or hours of coding language, much like, foreign language or other critical skills that are required for graduation? Is that sort of where?
There's no state requirement for that now. No.
But I mean, as far as, are there schools, individual schools that require a certain, for example, language, for example? I know that our language requirement, our technical requirement, doesn't really exist, but New Canaan High School has a requirement, and then most colleges look for a certain number of language years, right? I mean, are we going that way with computer programming such that even though it's not a requirement, it's best course for us to set our kids up for success?
I think that I would have to look around at our peers and ask that question of them.
Okay.
Can I add something?
Sure.
So I grade AP exams for College Board. I've been doing that for 9 years. And at these readings, we have these kinds of conversations, meeting with college professors of what they're looking for their students to have. And the talk is, this is coming down the pipeline, that computer science is so relevant in literally every field kids will be working in these days, that I think just like the personal finance initiative just went through, I really think computer science is not that far down the road. My friend teaches in Chicago, and I'm pretty sure he said they have a graduation requirement now, that they have to take a half a year in computer science. So I think it's close, but I don't know if there's enough teachers that know programming to cover a graduation requirement is another problem. Most people are in industry making all the money, so.
Gives you a lot of job security. It's good. Thank you.
Thanks, Erica.
So Rachel, you spoke about, well, Matt spoke about AI in terms of what we're doing in the district. Given your knowledge of the College Board, I'm wondering how College Board is thinking about the computer science APs and how those may change, or what we're asking students to learn and be able to do might change because of AI.
So the computer science principles exam has changed this year. At the reading last year, we found a lot of AI-generated responses to their projects. So basically, the kids have to code a project in class. They were given 12 hours of class time required to code a project from scratch. And then they had to answer a few questions about that project. And we found a lot of AI detection. So this year, they coded in class for 9 hours, and they have to answer 4 unknown questions in the sit-down part of the exam, meaning if AI helped you generate your code, it's not going to help you answer the questions, where if you didn't code it, you're not going to be able to answer those questions. So they actually encourage kids to use AI with their code. You can make your programs a little bit more robust than what we're able to cover in the semester. So I did have kids use it. They just said, make sure you cite the parts that you had AI help you with or help you debug. But obviously, they're not going to have AI help for the sit-down portion to answer those questions. So College Board knows AI is here, and it's prevalent. But I don't see the computer science A exam changing at all, because that is strictly a language-based exam, and they handwrite code for that exam. So.
Great. I also know anecdotally that this is middle school for Saks, that the lunchtime STEM, the before and after schools are very popular. And that's great, to Matt's point, that kids are interested in this. How are we looking at potentially increasing access or giving more regular access to kids that do have it, maybe on like a quarterly basis, but would want to do it more than that? Like how can we increase the middle school's access to the extracurricular or the outside of classroom time?
That's something that the team that offers the Empower Your Lunch Hour talks about regularly. In fact, they met last week to reflect on the past 3 quarters and look at, what kind of students had access of the past 3 quarters, what do we want to do to try to grow it in the future? So that the team is actually trying to do that and say, do we still get this? Do we get the same number of students that keep coming? Is the same, 15, 20 students are we getting a broader spectrum of students? And if not, how can we start to broaden that interest? So we're very interested in trying to make sure we provide options for every student.
Mm-hmm. And then I also had a question. At the high school level, assessment is more clear, I think, in terms of there's APs to judge against. How are we judging students' absorption of material in some of the lower grades? Like, what are the testing that we're able to do? How are we able to know what they're learning and taking from year to year?
Right now, it comes down to the products that they produce, right? So the programming that they do, often through conversations that teachers have with the students as they go throughout the development, the programming or the design process. Certainly, I think that's something as we continue to move forward, how do we quantify their growth is something that we want to be talking about more.
But clearly seen at the high school when they enter, right? So we're,
Yeah, like my sophomore class taking principals right now they are very prepared, way more prepared than the junior and senior classes were at their age for the course. And our pass rate on the AP exam has gone up every year, so.
That's the anecdotal data we're hearing.
Yeah, great. Great, thank you.
Wax, did you have a question as well? Got it. Anybody else? No, it's great. Thank you so much for the presentation. Appreciate it.
Thanks for your time.
All right. Next up, budget update with Dr. Lutzy.
Yes, this should be, well, it is very straightforward. So we remain at 6.17%. We had a meeting with the town council on Thursday evening. That was also the public hearing. The public hearing had as many public comments as we've had thus far tonight. So it was quiet. There were some questions that came up towards the end of the meeting, talking about our staffing plans and just some more questions about our budget and what was being brought forward. So we did have an opportunity to have another back and forth with them on Thursday evening. I believe at the end of the conversation, they were comfortable with where we are. The chair of the town council and others were saying this was their last opportunity to sort of signal what their ultimate vote or resolution would be. And I believe by the end of the conversation, people were comfortable with where we were at the 6.17. It also gave us an opportunity to remind them about the large budget drivers that we have, where it's salaries, benefits, utilities, out-of-district placements, transportation, that account for about 92% of our budget. So they reiterated the desire for us to prepare and do a thorough job in negotiations, which of course we always do and will continue to do. And they supported, I believe, where we were. So tomorrow night we have what should be the final meeting with the town council, where they will take their vote on each of the items, Board of Ed and otherwise. And then our 5+ month budget process will be complete for the next couple of months, and then we'll start it all over again, and we'll get back into it. But we remain at 6.17%, and at least from the feedback we received from the town council that night, I believe that they understand why we're asking what we're asking for and why we need what we have in there. And again, we reiterated the fact that the largest driver is the benefits line in our insurance, and just sometimes some years we'll have better years than others, and there's a big number here that we have to fund. So I think we wound up okay. I don't know if anyone has anything else to add or any questions you have, but at this point, if you want me to give the whole presentation, I can do it by memory and in my sleep. I think
I could too at this point.
yeah. So we're ready. And we've answered the questions both in writing and verbally at this point. So I think we're pretty thorough. We're feeling pretty good about it. So.
Yeah, thank you so much for all the hard work and repetition.
All right.
But thank you. Yeah, so we have one action item on tonight's agenda, and that's a donation from the PFA for the New Canaan High School entrance sign. I'd like to get a motion to approve a future donation not to exceed $35,000. That's an update on your agendas for the high school campus entrance sign. Can I get a motion? Laura, second. Julie, all in favor? Excellent. That's unanimous. Motion passes. Comments from the public? Seeing as there are none. Announcements and future business, please.
Sure. First, of course, to hope everyone who celebrated had a wonderful Easter weekend. And announcements. On Thursday, we have the New Canaan Cares presentation from Max Stossel. So that'll be over at the middle school at 7 o'clock on Thursday evening. And we also have Max coming to our 7th and 8th grade in the morning and the 9th and 10th grade here in the afternoon. So he'll be doing 3 presentations throughout the course of the day. We're very much looking forward to that. Additionally, we sent out an email today about the upcoming eclipse. And so if you haven't had a chance to take a look through that, please go right ahead. It was put together by Melinda Meyer, our Director of Innovation, and Michael Leduc, our High School Science Department Chair. Just letting folks know that we have ordered glasses for all of our students and staff that we will give to them as they board the bus, so that they do make it home at the end of the day. It gives the time, and as you'll see in there, it's going to start around 2:30 or so, last about 2 hours, with the maximum being at about 3:30, and we anticipate about 92% coverage. So it will be a very interesting and cool event. It's not, of course, a full eclipse, and I'm sure you've been following it in the news and everything else. So we've built in some instructional opportunities with our kids. The 5th and 6th grade will still be in session, so we are planning to go outside with them, and then we'll be doing some sort of eclipse-themed projects and work with our kids between now and then to help them prepare and just teach them ways that they can even look at the eclipse or anything with the sun without actually looking at the sun, by using different filters or even using a colander and holding it up and looking at what's on the ground, and the other ways to do that. So kids will come home with a lot of creative science ideas, hopefully over the next couple of days around the eclipse and ways to look at it. So it's a great opportunity, and we're looking forward to it, and are very well prepared thanks to Dr. Crenti and our science team across the district. So other than, I mean, can't beat an eclipse announcement, so I guess I'll leave it at that. Right. Yeah.
Thank you very much. All right, so let's take a motion to adjourn, please. Brendan, second. Wex, all in flavor. Flavor. You catch that?
Let's get some dinner.
Yeah. All right.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Penny.
Thank you.